Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today, inshallah, we are going to complete our talk about the market equilibrium. In the last classes, we discussed the concept of demand, supply, and we derived the demand curve, demand schedule, and supply as well today. And we talk about the difference between the quantity, the difference between a change in the quantity demanded and a change in demand. And we said that the change in demand means the full shifting of demand curve, either to right or to left, due to that change in one of the factors affect demand, like the change in income, a change in taste and preferences, the prices of other related goods, and some other variables. So, and the change in the quantity demanded is the change in, or the shifting or the movement from point A to point B, or B to A, along the same demand curve, right? Due to the change in the price of the product itself. This is the change in demand, in quantity demanded. But the change in demand is the full shift, this is D1, the full shifting of demand curve from D1 to D2 or to D3 due to the change of one of the main determinants of demand, or demand determinants, okay? Another point, which is the difference between the change in quantity supplied and the change in supply. As you know, that we studied, the main factors affect supply, like the cost of inputs, like the number of sellers, the price of other goods, okay? And change in technology or technology change. So, we will go to, or we are gonna study the difference between the change in supply and the change in quantity supplied. So, the same as we mentioned here in demand, the change in supply is change in supply, and the change in quantity supplied. Change in supply is the full shifting, this is the price, and the quantity supplied in the horizontal axis. And this is the original supply curve, S1. Change in supply, it's quite similar to the change in demand. It's a full shifting in supply curve, either to right or left, to S3, due to what? Due to the change in one of the supply's determinants. Okay? Change in quantity supplied is the movement this is supply curve. Change in quantity supplied is the movement from point A to point B, or C, from C to B, B to A to B, B to C, due to the change in the price of the product. As the price, let us assume that the price was P1, and this is the quantity supplied one. As the price goes up to P2, what will happen to the quantity supplied? Goes up as well. This is quantity supplied too. So, this idea or this point is called the change in quantity supplied. So the change in quantity supplied is the movement along the same supply curve due to the change in the price of the product itself. Okay? The same as the demand. The same as demand. Okay? Let's go to something else. Let's go to the market equilibrium. Let's go to the market equilibrium. Market equilibrium. له توازن السوق. To understand the idea of market equilibrium, let's have the following example. We have the following table that represents different prices and different quantity demanded and quantity supplied. Point. Price. Quantity demanded. Quantity supplied. Market status. Point A, B, that's it. Okay. Declining. In this table, we have different points, different prices, and different quantity demanded and quantity supplied. As you see, at point A, the price per unit was 5 shekels. The quantity purchased was 200, and the quantity sold or the quantity supplied was 80. As you see, as the price goes up, increases, the quantity demanded goes down, and the quantity supplied goes up. The same as the demand and supply theory says. So, we are going to determine the market equilibrium. Where is the willingness or the consumers meet the producers? Or where is the point at which the willingness of the producer and their ability meet the willingness and the ability of the producers who demand and supply when بيلتقوا. Okay? We will check the point here. But before that, let's draw the demand curve and supply curve at the same graph or along the same graph. So now we have the following graph that shows the prices and the quantity demanded and quantity supplied as well. So here are the prices, and this is the quantity. We will begin with demand, and then once we finish, we will go to supply. Okay? Prices 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. That's it. Okay. Let's derive or draw or determine the quantity demanded here from 18, 20, كتير 40, 80, 120, 160, 200. قصير هذا، خلينا نعمل اوكي 20 40 60 80 100 120 140 160 180 and 200. That's it. 220. Now let's draw the demand curve. The demand curve shows the relationship between prices and the quantity demanded. So, point A here. When the price was 5, the quantity demanded was 200. So, at price 5 here, the quantity demanded was 200. This is point A for the demand function. Point B, 10 and 180. B. C, 15 and 160. D, 20 and 140. E, 25, 120. F, 30, 100. G, 35 and 80. Now, let's connect these points. We will reach to the demand curve. This is what here? This is the demand curve. Let's go to derive and draw supply curve. Supply curve. At price equals 5, how much is the quantity supplied? 80. Then 10, 100, 15, 120. Okay? So, for the first point, when the price was 5, how much was the quantity demand, quantity supplied? 5. The quantity supplied equals 80. This is point A. صح؟ At 10, 100. 10 and 100. B. 15, 120. Here. 20, 140. D. هي اللي بدور عليها. 25, 160. E. 30, 180. 180 and 30. And the last point, 205 here. Let's connect these points here. This is the supply. Careful. This point at D here, the consumer desires to buy the product at D here. The consumer agreed to buy the product at 20 shekels or buy 20 shekels. And the producer, the sellers, accepts also to sell the product at this price here. How much is the at this point بسموها equilibrium point. Equilibrium point. طيب. Let's come back to the table here. What do you see? If the price was low here, at 5 shekels, the producer or the consumer wishes to buy, he has a willingness to buy 200 units, but the producer wishes to buy or tries to sell or wishes to sell 80 units. Here we have what? Excess demand. Excess demand means at this point, the quantity demanded is bigger than the quantity supplied. At this price, at 5, at a price equals 5, the quantity demanded is bigger than the quantity supplied. Here we have excess demand. يعني في عندنا فائض طلب كتير. Or supply shortage or shortage supply. تمام؟ إذا هذا النقطة هذا بقديش؟ QD minus QS. اللي بسموه هذا الماركت ستيتس وضع السوق. لو هذا QD minus QS. 200 minus 80 positive 120. هذا اسمه excess demand. هيك اسمه excess demand. Sometimes بيحسبوه QS minus QD يعني عادي it doesn't matter يعني وبالتالي بيطلع هذا نيجاتيف. هيك في عندنا عجز في السوق. تمام it doesn't matter يعني الايديا بتقول انه شو وضع الماركت هنا. عندنا هذول بيعرضوا 80 وهذول بيطلبوا 200. في عندنا excess demand او shortage supply or supply shortage. الفورمولا هذه بتعبر عن نيجاتيف يعني QS minus QD or QD minus QS doesn't matter يعني the same. تمام؟ إذا هنا عندنا هيك هذا خلينا QS minus QD عندنا shortage supply or supply shortage. بعده 100 minus 180 minus 80 برضه supply shortage. 120 minus 40 0. No excess demand, no excess supply. طب نيجي 160 minus 120 plus 40. We have what here? Excess supply of goods. Here we have excess supply of goods. هذا بسموه excess supply or shortage demand. تمام؟ بسموه shortage supply shortage هو excess demand. Excess supply means equals shortage demand. Okay? Positive 80, positive 120. That's it. Where is the point at which the quantity supplied equals the quantity demanded? Here's. This is the equilibrium point. Equilibrium point. توازن السوق أو نقطة التوازن. At this point, the quantity demanded equals the quantity supplied. This is the equilibrium quantity. سموها equilibrium quantity, and this is the equilibrium price. So the equilibrium price in this case is $20 or 20 shekels per unit, and the equilibrium quantity is 140. Let's go to the graph here. What do you see? Where's the equilibrium point at which this demand curve intersects or crosses supply curve? ولا النقطة اللي بتقابله عندها at this point, point D, here this is the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity. That's it. تمام? All right. تمام. Let's go here. Above the equilibrium price. If the price was bigger than the equilibrium price, if the market price هذا هيك market price هيك كله ممكن يكون عندنا market price. Sometimes ممكن يكون الماركت برايس 25 مش بالضرورة يكون عند الايكويليبريم. تمام؟ Sometimes يكون أقل الماركت برايس، بس كل واحد السيتويشنز هذا له اناليسيز لحاله. تمام؟ طيب if the market price سعر السوق was 25 كان هنا هيك. شوفوا ايش الوضع. Where's the QS؟ هي نقطة along this point بيكون هنا عند QS عند السبلاي. هذا QS. Where's the Q؟ quantity demanded. هي quantity demanded. هنا. طب قديش QS؟ 160. Quantity demanded قديش؟ 120. هذا المنطقة this triangle represents what? QS is bigger than QD. We have an excess supply of goods represented by this triangle here. All right? If the price was below the equilibrium price, let us assume that the market price was 5 here. What do you see? At this point, how much is the quantity supplied?
100.
هيها نقطة على منحنى العرض. قديش بتشكل؟ 100 units. But how much is the quantity demanded? 180. So here quantity demanded, and here is the quantity supplied. Quantity demanded is bigger than the quantity supplied. So we have an excess supply of goods by, sorry, excess demand. Thank you very much indeed. Excess demand by 180 minus 100. هذا excess demand. It can be shown by this triangle here. Okay, the same. As I mentioned, you can say that one demand minus one supply, or doesn't matter. The absolute value should be taken here, should be considered. Okay, right. So in this case, the excess demand will be shown here or represented by this triangle. Okay. Now, عشان ما تصيرش زربيحة الدنيا هيك بدي أعمل a new graph to analyze the case. Okay, I will draw a new graph that shows the market equilibrium. This is the price and the quantity. Demand. Sometimes demand curve might intersect the vertical axis. بسيط. وهذا الفورمولا راح نشوفه كمان شوي بالاناليسيس. And this is the supply curve. The equilibrium occurs when demand equals supply. This is the equilibrium point. At this point, we have the equilibrium price, P star, and this is the equilibrium quantity, a quantity star. Okay? Now, let us assume that the price in the market was at P1. What do you see? This point represents one supply, and this point lies along demand curve, so it represents quantity demanded. We have an excess supply and shortage demand. لأن هذا الهيك أن this triangle represents the case, the excess supply, because quantity supplied is bigger than quantity demanded. Here we have excess supply. When tomatoes in the local market, the quantity supplied of tomatoes is bigger than the quantity demanded. There is no demand for tomatoes in the market, and we have excess supply of tomatoes. What will happen?
The price will be down.
Exactly, yeah, definitely. Because the producers or sellers will be obliged to decrease the prices in order to sell the products. في بضاعة كتير في السوق. شو بيساوي التجار؟ بينزل السعر. بيلاقي حالهم أصلا مضطر لهيك. تمام؟ So, at P1 here, the price is so high. Okay? And the producers will try to decrease the prices in order to be able to sell the product. عشان يقدر يسوق يقول لك خلينا بدل الباكس تبع التوميتوز بدل ما هو ب 40 شيكل خليه ب 20 نشوف ايش اللي بيصير. تمام؟ هلا وين صار عندنا؟ شو اللي صار؟ As the price goes down to P2 شو اللي صار؟ The quantity demanded كل ما لها شو بصير فيها؟ increases. هيو بزيد، يعني كنا كان عندي quantity demanded 1 صرنا عندي quantity demanded 2 صح؟ هيو كل ما بهذا. طيب البروفيتس تبع البروديوسرز as the price goes down شو بصير في البروفيتس تبع البروديوسرز؟ goes down as well. ما زال البرايس بينزل البياعين ببطل عندهم بروفيتس يعني وبالتالي يصير البرودكتس تبعه ببطل ينتج. الكوانت سبلاي شو بصير فيها؟ go down. اذا هاي شايفين ايش اللي صار فيه؟ كوانت سبلاي كان عندك كيو اس 1 شو صار؟ كيو اس 2 نزل وهذا زاد صح؟ بس لسه مش متفقين لسه. اعمل decreasing في البرايسز طبعا as we have excess supply لسه في عندنا ضايل excess supply صار هالقد شايفين represented by this triangle here. We still have an excess supply of goods هيو اللي هو QS2 minus QD2 represented by this triangle عندنا 2. As we still have an excess supply of goods, the price will go down. طول ما في لسه بضاعة كثير وما فيش حد طالب شو الوضع؟ They will be obliged to decrease the prices. So as the price goes down شو اللي بصير؟ هذا بيجي هيك وهذا بيجي هيك. When the price goes down, what will happen to the quantity demanded? Hey, as the price goes down from P2 to P star, what do you see? The quantity demanded increases. As the price goes down, the quantity supplied goes down. Until the equilibrium is restored. Until the equilibrium is restored at this point. Here we have no excess demand, no excess supply. We have an equilibrium. Okay? And vice versa. If the price was here, let us assume that the price was here at P5. How much is the quantity? Here is a point along demand curve, so it represents QD. All right? And this point along this price, at this price, the quantity supply, this represents QS. Here we have what? QD minus a QS. Spot? This triangle represents what? Excess demand because the QD is bigger than the QS. Represented by 200 maybe minus 50, 150. That's it. Assumptions. Okay? As we have an excess demand, الكل بيقول لك هات البضاعة. And there is no supply. The quantity supplied is smaller than the quantity demanded. What will happen? The price goes up. So in this case here, if the market price is below the equilibrium price, this is the equilibrium price. If the market price below the equilibrium price, in this case, the quantity demanded is bigger than the quantity supplied. Here we have an excess demand or supply shortage. Okay? What will happen? The price will go up. So, in this case, the price will go up. بضل البرايس يطلع until the equilibrium is restored. That's it. Okay? Understood or not? Okay. Let's take a break just for 1 minute and complete. Let's go to determine the market equilibrium using formulas or demand and supply functions. Assume that the demand function QD equals 200 minus half times the prices. Demand function ثالث الطلب أو demand formula and supply function QS equals 50 plus 2 times the prices. We're going to determine the equilibrium price, number 1. Price and quantity and the equilibrium quantity. Number 2, if the price equals $50 shekels, $50 per unit, calculate the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied, QD and QS. What is the market status here? In this example, we have 2 functions, 2 formulas, the demand function and supply function. For the demand function here, quantity demanded equals 200 minus half times prices. What does this mean? Let's explain the idea of this formula and we'll try to answer then the question here. So QD equals 200 minus 0.5 price. What does this mean here? This part here. No. Quantity demanded here equals 200 minus half times P. 200 means the intercept in the demand function, here, price, and the quantity demanded, This is the intercept. It's the value of the quantity demanded when the price equals zero. عوض عن هذا، حط السعر بيساوي صفر. بقى قديش الناس بتشتري كميات؟ 200. يعني if so هذا ال 200 هيك is the value of the quantity demanded when the price equals zero. إذن هنا هذا الانترسبت 200. هذا اسمه الانترسبت is the value of a QD when price equals zero. لو هو بده يبيع البضاعة بصفر ولا حاجة free، ليش بتكون QD؟ يعني at price equals zero. At price equals zero. What does this mean؟ شو واحد يقول QD؟ QD بيساوي 200 ناقص نص times zero. QD بيساوي 200. That's it. minus zero بيطلع 200. هذا اسمه الانترسبت. طيب minus half هذا minus half. هذا اسمه السلوب. سلوب ميل منحنى الطلب. هل هو مايل كتير ولا مايل قليل؟ تمام؟ هذا النص ماينس نيجاتيف. هو نيجاتيف سلوب قلنا. قديش مايل؟ مين مايل أكثر؟ هذا الدي 1 ولا هذا دي 2؟ مين الانحدار فيه أعلى؟ 2. تروح على الشجاعية ولا عمرك رحت على الشجاعية؟ فيكم من الشجاعية؟ وهي مروحة من الجامعة، وهي نازلة عند الشجاعية في دحلة هيك، شايفينها صح ولا لا؟ قبل ما توصل السوق، صح؟ مايل كتير هذا، صح؟ هذا اسمه سلوب. هو السلوب. هو مايل كتير، هذا في منحدر. لما تلاقي في منحدرات كثير، هذا بسموه حادة، صح ولا لا؟ هذا بسموه السلوب. طب مين مايل أكثر؟ اللي بيكون مايل هيك ولا اللي مايل هيك عادي؟ إذا هنا هيك مين السلوب تبعه أعلى؟ دي 2. تمام؟ هلا هذا شو؟ what does this mean؟ هذا الدلتا QD over delta price. شو معناه؟ if the price increases by $1، هنا الكوانتيتي demanded معناه راح تنزل بنص units. السلوب هذا هيك معناه، هذا النص انه لو if the price increased by $1 الكوانتيتي demanded حتنزل بنص وحده. طب هذا سبلاي هنا هذا الثاني راح يكون اوضح من الاول. الثاني شو معناه؟ if the price is zero، هذا ال50 شو معناتها؟ if the price is zero the quantity supplied 50. عوض بالمعادله هيك. طب هذا شو معناه؟ if positive 2 as the price increases by $1 the quantity supplied will increase by 2 units. يعني لما السعر بيطلع بوحده بدولار حيتشجعوا المنتجين ينتجوا 2 يونتس زياده. اكزاكتلي اللي هو هذا السلوب، بس هذا لمين؟ للسبلاي. دلتا كوانتيتي سبلاي، لان هذا دلتا. هلا السلوب هذا في السبلاي فانكشن كيو اس اللي هو السلوب هنا، هذا بوزيتيف 2. السلوب تبع مين؟ السبلاي فانكشن اللي هو means delta quantity supplied over delta price, which means here as the price increased by $1 the quantity supplied will increase because it's positive here by 2 units. هذا زاد بواحد وهذا زاد باثنين. تمام؟ Now the problem here is determine the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity. If the price equals blah blah blah, what is the market status? Okay, let's go to answer this problem here. هلا clear هذا الفانكشن هذا تاني once again. على راسي. حاضر حاضر. What are the main factors, or yes, the main what is the main factor affect the quantity demanded? The price. Hey, as the price goes up, what will happen to the quantity demanded? Goes down. هذا represented by sign هذا, negative sign. تمام. If the price equals 0, عوضه بصفر. شو راح تطلع عندي المعادلة؟ Q D بيساوي 200. صح؟ هذا شو معناه؟ If the price equals 0, the quantity demanded بتصير 200. هذا ال 50 ال 50 في السبلاي. If the price equals 0 عوضي. بيكون عندنا المنتجين بينتجوا 50 units. طب هنا في الديماند السلوب اللي هو change in quantity demanded due to the change in price اللي هو هذا كيو دي دلتا كيو دي على دلتا برايس. لو السعر زاد بواحد، يعني لو زدنا السعر بواحد، مش السعر بأثر في الكوانتيتي ديماندد؟ هذا شو معناه ماينس نص هاف؟ لو زاد السعر بواحد if the price increased by $1 the quantity demanded حتنزل بهذا الرقم. That's it. نعم. will decline by half. هي negative sign. طب هذا السلوب هنا في ال supply function. If the price increased by $1 the quantity supplied حتزيد ب2. هي بتزيد. Positive. السؤال how can we determine or calculate the equilibrium price؟ ايه وضحت الصورة ولا ما وضحت؟ Okay. Let's answer أو نشتغل على solutions للبروبلم هذا. To determine the equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. The equilibrium point is the point in which demand equals supply. صح؟ Price and quantity. At this point, QD equals QS. صح؟ At this point here, QD equals QS. صح؟ بدنا نسوي في بعض. Two formulas. تمام؟ بصير لنا هيك at equilibrium what do you see? QD equals QS. At equilibrium, quantity demanded equals quantity supplied. So QD here 200 minus half times the prices must equal 50 اللي بنشيل هاي ونحط بدلها الفاليو تبعها. As the left side equals the left side, so the right side here must equal the right side. So 50 plus 2 prices. We have one اللي هو unknown variable. بصير عندنا جيبوا البرايسز عند بعضها والفيجرز عند بعضها. بصير عندنا minus half P وجيب هذا هيك minus 2P equals 50 minus 200. صح؟ مظبوط؟ تمام. then هنا minus 2.5P equals 100 minus 150. so price equals طبعا شيلوا النيجاتيف ساين. price equals 150 over 2.5 equals قديش هذا؟ 60. This is the equilibrium price. So the equilibrium price here equals 60. لا مش دائما. It depends on the equation. It depends on the equation. هي غير هذا خليها 3. شو بصير معك؟ This depends on the equation. طيب. Now we have the equilibrium price. How much is the equilibrium quantity? بدنا نجيب يعوض اعمل substitution either بالquant demanded formula or the quant supplied. You will reach with the same result. نشوف. So to calculate quantity, the equilibrium quantity, at this point, the equilibrium quantity, QD equals, either we can substitute by quantity demanded or quantity supplied. So عوض في ال QD وشوف ايش بيطلع معك. وعوض في ال quant supplied شوف شو بيطلع معك. إذا QD equals 200 minus half times the price, equilibrium price 60. So QD equals 200 minus نص 60 30. Then QD equals 170. Or we can substitute by QS. So QS here. Or QS. الفورمولا تبعتها هي 50 plus 2P. So QS equals 50 plus 2 times the price, 60, equals 170. That's it. The same result here. All right? So the equilibrium quantity here is how much? 170. Number 2. If the market price equals $50. يعني السعر كان الماركت برايس كان $50. وين يكون هنا؟ قديش كيو اس وقديش كيو دي؟ هذا unknown وهذا unknown. نقدر نعمله؟ ما substitution عند البرايس هيو هذا هيك نقول كيو دي equals 200 minus half times the price 50. QD equals 200 minus 25. So QD equals 175. قديش بتطلع هاي؟ قديش كنا عندنا هذا 170 حتكون هاي QD قديش؟ 175. هذا QD. طب QS لازم تطلع less than. نشوف QS. So QS here equals بالمعادلة هذه هيك 50 plus 2 times the price 50. So QS equals 50 plus 100. So QS equals 150. So it should be 150. Yes. The last point. Okay.
Market status, it's X is
X is what? Yes.
our short is
By how much?
by how much?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is
25.
by 25. Exactly. So, what is the market situation or the market status? The market status is we have an excess demand because the quantity demanded is bigger than the quantity supplied by 25. That's it. Okay? Is there a problem? Okay. طيب. عيدها على راسي. حاضر. شوف. The question is, what is the market status? ايش وضع السوق? The market status is here at this price here. The quantity demanded is 175, is bigger than the quantity supplied, which is 150. So here we have what? QD is bigger than the QS, اللي هو 175 is bigger than 150. So the market status اللي هو QS minus QD. QS عندنا قديش؟ 150 minus QD اللي هو هذا 150 minus 175 equals minus 25. This is what? Shortage supply or excess demand. That's it. تمام؟ طيب. I will show you something how we derive this formula. That's it. The last point يعني. بدي افرجيكم كيف جبنا الفورمولا هاي. I will come back quickly to the last example when we determine the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity using numbers and figures. Say, let us assume that the price, and here we have the quantity demanded. بالassumptions we had the prices was 5, 10, 15, 20, 25.
لا لا مش الأول.
وقعت تطفي السي دي يا سيدي. بكبره هلقيت هذا نقرا التيبل. $30, $35, $40. And let us assume that the quantity demanded was 200, 180, 160, 140, 160, 20. Okay. Keep silent, please. Now, we are gonna derive the formula, the demand function. To derive the demand function here, we can show this insert shape here, graph. This graph can be represented here, or represents the relationship between the prices and the quantity demanded. I will draw here's the function. شايفين الفانكشن هذا؟ This function represents the relationship between the prices and the quantity demanded. نكبرها هيك. الفانكشن هذا هيو هيك QD equals 220 QD equals 220 minus 4 في البرايس. طب نجيب كيو اس الفانكشن تبع الكيو اس هذا الديماند فانكشن. شو الاسامبشنز اللي كنا حاطينها للكوانت سبلاي؟ هذا هيك كيو اس خلينا determine هنا 140 بالتبسيط 120 100 80 160 180 200 220. Now I'm gonna study the relationship between the prices and the quantity supply to derive the supply function. خليلي هذا هيك عشقة. cut paste 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 paste. وين البيست هذا؟ Okay. I'm gonna study the relationship between the prices and the quantity supplied here, as you see. The same as the previous. Here's the graph. This is the supply curve. اللي قبله كان شو؟ Demand curve. Yes. So, to derive the function here, here's the function. Here's the function is QS. The supply function QS equals 60 plus 4x, because here positive sign, 4p. اشتغلوا عليها هيك راح تطلعوا ب equilibrium quantity و equilibrium price. راح يكون عندنا اذا بترجعوا للداتا هنا وين كيو اس بيساوي كيو دي. هي شايفين هذا the equilibrium price حيكون 20. هذا equilibrium quantity is 140. try it. هذا assignment at home. شوفوا بيطلع مزبوط ولا لا. لا مش اكسل. هذا عندك equilibrium quantity demanded quantity supplied. تمام. واشتغلوا شوفوا لي equilibrium price equilibrium quantity. Determine the equilibrium price the equilibrium quantity using these formulas here. طبعا try it. يعطيكم العافية.